Hey guys, it's Dennis here with Collider Games. I'm also joined by...
What's up, guys? It's your boy Dorian.
Yes, and today, big day. We have the PS5 showcase, Sony's PS5, the second one. We had one 3 months before. We also had the Oculus Facebook Connect thing, which we'll talk about in another video. But this one, I think it's been 2 or 3 months since the first one, which I think we were both enthusiastic about, but not like over the moon about.
I said whelmed. We were just like,
Yeah.
all right. It was just in the middle. It wasn't like nothing too serious, but I was excited for what they were going to show today.
Yeah, and I would say that this was a much better showcase. One, it was shorter. It wasn't like last one was like close to an hour and a half. This was 45 minutes, and they kind of only focused on the big properties. They started the whole thing off with a Final Fantasy 16, which we found out was going to be exclusive to the PlayStation. Didn't say PS5, it said PlayStation exclusive, probably because they still need to make some money, therefore making it available for PS4 at the same time. It looked like it was set in the more medieval times, but it had that same kind of JRPG look to it, the Final Fantasy look to it. And then we got into the Spider-Man Miles Morales stuff, which I think was probably one of the things that people were most looking forward to. And while we got like a little tiny teaser a few months ago, this was much, much more, right? We got to see gameplay footage and all that stuff. What was your reaction to that?
I should have been recording my reaction because as soon as he came on and as soon as the music played, I was like, what? And they introduced my boy Genki. Man, I'm just excited for this game. My overall hype for this was just through the roof before we even saw any of this gameplay footage. So now it makes me even more excited. Like I was already going to get a PS5 just because of this game, but after seeing that gameplay, I'm like, yes, I'm getting this game. I'm getting the PS5 specifically for Miles Morales, and then whatever comes after that, I'll definitely gonna get. But damn, that sold me. Like I was a little bit worried that it was just gonna look like a reskin of the Spider-Man game, and you could tell like it still has it looks like it's in that same universe, of course, but it does feel like it's Miles' game. And the fact that they moved him from Brooklyn to Harlem, and then they're giving him a new little storyline, I'm excited for it. So it makes sense now that he's away from Peter Parker. Why, people are like, why? Where's Spider-Man? Why wouldn't Spider-Man be in this? But now it makes sense because he moved. He's in Harlem now. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, in one of the scenes when he's walking around, you see a big wall with Spider-Man's face on it, and I don't know if it's a situation like Into the SpiderVerse, but probably not, where like he's passed away or something like that. But yeah, they showed a lot more details. They gave story details about his mother, who's a politician running for office, and how that ties into it. And then the Tinkerer, the enemies look like they're from Destiny.
Yeah.
The game
And
Destiny.
you know what I thought was interesting and I loved about it is I think it's kind of what they're carrying over from Into the Spider-Verse in a way is how hip-hop is infused into Miles' character as a person. So when they started his gameplay and when he was actually fighting those and you had the background music had a little it had the Spider-Man-esque theme music to it, but it also had the infuse of his hip hop and him loving hip hop and things like that. So it was like a low beat, and I was like, oh hell yeah! Like if this is gonna be the soundtrack for the actual game, I'm excited for it because it definitely felt Miles inspired all the way to the soundtrack itself. So I think they're gonna knock it out of the park with this.
Yeah, it's looking really good, and they showed a lot more than before. Also, we'll talk more about this later. The pre-orders for PS5 are live now, and we'll talk about the pricing a little bit later, plus the launch date. But I want to kind of get into some of the games, at least the big ones that we saw. We saw a Hogwarts Legacy trailer. It's going to come out in 2021. Yes. This is a game that had kind of leaked before. I don't think this is a PS exclusive. I think this is cross-platform, but they were the ones to debut the actual trailer, which is weird because I felt like last year at E3, Xbox kind of got a lot of the cool exclusive debuts, even if they were cross-platform, like Cyberpunk 2077. And in this year, it feels like PlayStation is getting those. That game, I'm someone who likes Harry Potter, but I'm not a Harry Potter fanboy, right? I've never read the books. I don't, I've never been to the Hogwarts at Universal Studios. I just don't. I'm not that into the world. But this game looks interesting to me because it looks like an RPG action adventure where you can build up your own character and storylines, and that's what interests me. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. I'm in the same boat as you when it comes to like the Harry Potter franchise as
Mhm.
a whole. Like I've watched the movies. I've tried to like continue with the Fantastic Beasts
Oh,
franchise.
I
Just
gave up on that. I
tried
gave
to
up on
watch
that.
those, but just in general, like I haven't been. I'm not going to go try to sign up for one of those. Which Hufflepuff or which thing am I? Like I don't go and do all that stuff, but I am excited to see this because I played a Harry Potter game. I can't remember what console I played it on. I think it
Mhm.
was actually for could have been for like my iPad or for my PSP or something like that, but I can't remember. It's an old school Harry Potter game, whereas same type of like it didn't you got to kind of like be your own type of person, and those
Mhm.
type of games I like. So if you could put me in the wizarding world and I'm still like my own character, and I think they kind of did it like subliminally, but I noticed that some of the main people that we got to see throughout it, although you get to create your own character, they were people of color, and I kind of felt like that was just like them saying, like, all right, I know we did people of color wrong in the actual Harry Potter movies, so here's some, we're going to make them the main, like, here, we're going to give you all in the commercial. That's kind of how it felt. And also, I'm glad that this is a video game rather than the movie because Daniel Radcliffe wrote those movies for all I care for from here on out. Like, we're just going to associate the Harry Potter franchise with Daniel Radcliffe rather than the actual person who wrote it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that with this kind of style, like they haven't made a Game of Thrones video
Mm.
game yet. I know there has been video games in the past. You had the Telltale games. You also had this other one that was kind of like this, but not with like a AAA backing. Because at that time when Game of Thrones, the previous video game came out, it wasn't as big as it eventually became, and so there wasn't that much money behind it. I would love for them to take this type of model that they're doing with this Harry Potter RPG, Hogwarts Legacy, and making a game out of with Westeros as the setting. But anyways, yeah, it looks good. Not exclusive. Another one that's also cross platform, but they showed some footage of was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War,
Mm-hmm.
which the graphics are great. And then they showed this kind of they showed some gameplay to it, which looked cool. It looked like the ending of Fast and the Furious 6.
Hey, oh, I get
Remember
now that you mention it, I guess it does. I guess it really does.
with
Wait, which one?
that's the one where at the very end that the airplane is
Or
leaving.
they're like, and oh, is that when my girl Gal? She.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man. Oh
yeah.
damn. That's why I don't remember because I put it in the back of my head because after they lost Gal, I was like, oh, you can't kill my baby Gal like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it looks good. They also announced, another exclusive for PlayStation, which is not the game is exclusive, but the alpha, basically the testing is available exclusive to the PS4 from 9/18, which is 2 days from now.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Today is
Wednesday. Was that
Wednesday, so
Friday?
Friday, this coming Friday through the weekend, people on the PS4 can play Black Ops Cold War multiplayer to test it out. So,
I'm not the biggest COD fan. Like I try to keep up to it. I
mhm.
barely have touched Warzone, but I'll definitely try to see what's up because it's interesting that although like you said, it feels like although they're all some of these games that they revealed are for cross platforms, this showcase made it feel more hype for all the
Mhm.
PlayStation centric like stuff that you're going to get with it. So I'm excited to see what happens. But I might dive into it. You never know. They kind of always
Yeah.
just make me wait.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into a Call of Duty game for a while, so this may be the one that I'm gonna hop back into it. What else did we see? We saw Resident Evil Village, which also is cross platform. Deathloop, I did not know was a PlayStation exclusive
Yeah,
when they dropped that at the end. I don't
Yeah, I
think
didn't
it
think
was
that was.
announced
I don't
that.
think that was it from the last, like from the previous showcase. It didn't say anything about it being exclusive. I just thought
Mhm.
it was just going to be revealed like for everybody, but for it to be an exclusive because that was one of my one. I don't want to consider it an indie. I'm not sure if it's like considered
Well,
an
it's
indie,
under
but
Bethesda and Arcane,
yeah,
so it's definitely
because
not an indie, but
I remember seeing that at E3 when we were there
at the
for the
Bethesda
yeah
showcase,
at the
yeah.
Bethesda showcase. I was interested from very on in. So for it to be an exclusive for PS5, that's definitely another one that I'll add to my list because I was like, damn, that and it's in Q2, I believe. So that's like March. Forget how they
Yeah,
break it out.
Q2 is, I think, maybe start April.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it starts in April. So around that time. So did not know. Also, it's I don't think it's a PS5 exclusive, it's a PS4 or 5. But to me, that's the same thing, right? Just like Halo is a exclusive for Xbox, even though it's going to be Xbox One and Xbox Series X. It's pretty much for their particular systems. Devil May Cry 5 has a special edition coming out. You know, I think that was Cabooses like Game of the Year last year, if I'm not mistaken, or it was one of his favorite games. Oddworld, Five Nights at Freddy, Security Breach, Demon's Soul looked pretty cool. They said Fortnite's going to be available at launch or whatever. What do you think about this? This was a kind of this PlayStation Plus collection.
Yeah, I was interested in. I wish we got a little bit more details on that, because once I saw the trailer for it and we saw some of the games, a lot of those I've played in the past. But for if they're all getting a remastered version for PS5, I definitely want to revisit those. But I was trying to think, like, what is it? What's the actual meaning of it? Is it a bundle that you'll be able to? Is it free?
It's a
like
bundle.
I thought they were going to say like free to download. Like if they would have said free to download at launch or something like that, that would have been the. Yeah, I wasn't like, no, PlayStation, you won this one, like definitively. If you're going to drop all those games, albeit they're old generational games, but having all those in one bundle as part of like the package when it's going to be on launch, I think that's dope. Like regardless of the price.
Yeah, it's not a remastered. It's basically the PS4 games, 15 of them. I mean, these are like heavy hitter ones. You know, you're talking about God of War, Last of Us, Uncharted 4, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy, you know, Days Gone, Detroit Human, Batman Arkham Knight, Mortal Kombat 10, Persona 5. It's like plenty of AAA titles in there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm thinking this. I could be reading into it wrong, like reading into it a lot. But Infamous Second Son was on launch for the PS4, and the fact that they're bringing it or like putting it part of the PlayStation bundle, coupled by the success of all of what Sucker Punch has done with Ghost of Tsushima, I'm thinking hopefully they're going to give us another Infamous game down the line with the PS5, because I don't think you would just like Infamous Second Son. That's the very first PS4 game to drop with it. So it's like you don't bring that back unless you're going to do something with it. You don't bring that back to remind people that's a game unless you're going to do something with it. So hopefully that leads to something in the future of the PS5.
It's weird. I'm getting conflicting reports here. IGN is saying it's not a subscription, or was it IGN? Someone. No, The Verge saying it wasn't a subscription. It's just 15 games that are bundled up that you can download and buy. Where Polygon is saying is a classic game subscription. It's weird. So yeah,
just hopefully they come out with more details about that, because
there's no price. There's no price, and there's no definitive. I think more people. IGN is saying it is a subscription service that will be available at launch. Yeah, there's more details. It's not saying. Yeah, I guess. I guess we'll get more details about that, but it's interesting. I think they want to compete with Game Pass, because Game Pass is, despite PS4 being the leader of this generation's console, Game Pass is definitely the best deal that you can get around.
Yeah, that's probably something that they'll need to pivot focus on once all of these drop, is like actually beefing up the subscription on the Game Pass, because that's something, in my opinion, that I'd hardly like. They do have some like good free games every month occasionally, and some really heavy hitters, but for the most part, I really feel like I use my PS Plus membership unless like I have to renew it in order to go online or something like that. But besides that, I'm never really like casually constantly checking what, rather than when it comes to Game Pass, your boy's on there every other day, constantly using it because of the subscription service and how much a wide variety they have. So that's something that they definitely should start revving up more as we progress into this next generation.
Yeah. So we'll got to keep our eye on that and see how they do. Because the one thing that Xbox, Microsoft are doing with their Game Pass is on day one, AAA titles that are first-party exclusives still are going to be available. Like Halo Infinite will be available on Game Pass. Avowed, whenever Outer Worlds 2. So basically, you're not paying the $60 for those games anymore. You're paying the $10 to $15 a month, but you just keep paying and paying, and you get it, which is a great deal if you have a lot of time to play all these games. But if you play like one game every 2-3 months, then it kind of like it's about the same same price. But anyways, keep our eyes on it. So let's talk about the bigger thing. It's kind of not really a big surprise. You have the pricing and the release date. The release date is a little bit more of a surprise. It's 2 days after after Xbox launches, which, like I said, the release date in this world, this current video game landscape, doesn't really matter anymore. I remember back in the day, like, oh my god, this one launches 1 month before, 2 weeks before, and people are like, I can't wait, I have to buy this system instead. People can wait a week, 2 days, whatever. I thought they would at least waited a week, either gone a week before Xbox or a week after. They're doing 2 days after. But ultimately, that's not going to change whether you're going to buy PS5 or Xbox Series X. Either way, pricing was what we expected: $499 for the regular console, $399 for the digital only. Now, this is where it gets interesting because of what we talked about last week with the Xbox Series S announcement and what that actually is, because that part was a surprise, not the console itself, but what it actually was in terms of lower powered but much cheaper price, plus the kind of financing deal where you can just pay X amount per month. This makes, at least to me, like the digital version of the PS5 not very attractive.
At this point, when I was looking at like a breakdown of, you have the PS5, you have the PS5 digital, you have the Xbox Series X, and then you have the Xbox Series, I was like, out of all of these, if I'm going to get a PS5, I'm going to get the $499. I'm going to get the hardwired version versus the digital version. And then when I was looking at it, I was like, for the Xboxes, if I'm getting the PS5, then I was like, if I have to pick between those two, then I'm going to get the Series X. But if I was looking at them all across, I was like, I don't see the point, and I'm not getting the digital version of the PS5 if I'm looking at it, especially if it's just $100 gap.
Yeah.
Like if it was a $299 like the Xbox Series S, then that would be something I would be like, maybe let me think about it. But with this, if there's just $100 difference between digital and no digital, then I'm gonna just go ahead and pay the extra $100.
Yeah. So, what do you think now, with all the cards on the table now, with the launch date, the pricing, and now we've had 2 PS5 showcases. I'm assuming this is the last one for Sony. All the cards on the table, at least for them. Microsoft has done one showcase. They have the pricing and the launch date. Are they having a showcase? I'm assuming they're going to have one between now and when they launch. And what are they going to show? Because I'll be honest with you, like I said, first Sony showcase that we saw earlier in the summer, okay, it was good, but wasn't great. This one was much, much better, kind of more like good/great. And Xbox, the last showcase, it was very underwhelming. We talked about that, even less so than the first Sony one. What are they going to do for their showcase? Is this when they're busting out their quadruple A title? Is it? Are there going to be other exclusives that we don't know about? Because right now, it's other than financials or you kind of waiting around for the better. I'm not going to say, Xbox Series X is going to have some great games, but in our immediate future, we're just not seeing them, right? So what are they showing at this next Xbox showcase?
Like, listen, if I'm Xbox, or like you said, if I'm Xbox, we've been talking about this the past month or so, especially with the supercharged team that they've recruited over the past year. It's supposed to be a quadruple A heavy hitter team. So with that being said, I'd have like a press conference showing off that game that they're whatever game they're working on, whatever stage it's at. I don't care if it's just concept art. I don't care if it's just if they do have like a working model. You got to show that off. Say like, hey, we've got original content coming too, because like this showcase specifically, the first 20 minutes, besides even showing off like the stuff that will be cross-platform, they just had the debut trailers for it.
Mm-hmm.
The first 15 to 20 minutes of it was their actual exclusive content that they were saying like that's going to be on their console only. Like nobody else can get that. You can't get that on Xbox. So Xbox has to have heavy hitter games like showing us stories, showing us something that we can be like, all right, I'm sold. If you go to the Xbox website right now for the Xbox Series X, all you see is like Halo, like teasing Halo Infinite and things like that. It's like we already know Halo's coming. We need
more.
something.
No, I mean, like the thing we didn't talk about, which I actually got the most excited about, was the God of War Ragnarok teaser at the very end. I'm playing. Look, I've never played any God of War games until now, recently, which I'm playing the latest one on PS4, and I'm loving it. I'm like 2/3 the way through. As someone who's kind of more new into the Sony PlayStation universe, because I've been Team Xbox like since they came out, since the first Xbox came out, because I'm a huge Halo fan. This is exciting news, and I'm pretty sure people that are familiar with this, if someone like me who's only played 2/3 of one game is already excited to see this, imagine people who've been playing this series, all 4 games, and then this teaser comes out. Well, they're definitely gonna get a PS5, and so where are those things that we need for the Xbox? And people are like, "Oh, you're not a real Xbox or Microsoft fanboy." It's like, dude, like I said, you don't know all the shit that I own, man. I'm gonna show you here, right here. This is a Surface keyboard. You know how many people own this? Probably not that many. This is a Microsoft Surface dial. Not people own that. This is a Surface Book. Oh, yeah, there you go. Can you see it?
No, because it's blending in with the white.
Yeah, there we go. That's a Surface Book. Okay, I owned the Surface Pro 2, the Surface Pro 3. My mouse pad. See this mouse pad? Can you see? Oh my God. Okay. Look at this mouse pad. It's a Microsoft mouse pad. Don't tell me I'm not Team Xbox or.
We gotta do a room tour with you, Dennis, one day, just showing off literally.
And I also have 2 Microsoft mugs, and I have a Windows T-shirt. I have I think a Microsoft, or is it a Surface backpack? Lying around here somewhere. So yeah, I'm not. I'm giving people these thoughts and opinions because I'm trying to come from an unbiased place. I'm not. I want Xbox to do well. I want Microsoft to do well. I want them to come out with like these awesome games, And I think they're coming. I just don't know why they're waiting so long, because they kind of had known, they must have known like maybe at least halfway through this generation that these exclusive titles were the things that people were gravitating towards, and they could have got a head start on that, but who knows?
And then you hit the nail on the head. Like I think you just so for example, for people like you who have been having an Xbox, but then let's say, all right, you just got a PS4 recently or just the past year or so, but haven't had the time to really dive into the games. You see this trailer for the PlayStation Plus, giving you all those games that they showcase, plus the ones that you're kind of working your way towards, and you're like, oh wait, damn, there's more. I have way more I can dump into time consuming wise. Like especially we're in a quarantine right now. I have all these games that I can actually try to go through now that with this PlayStation Plus membership or whatever, and then rather than let's say, okay, Xbox trying to get a PS5 fan or something like that, let's say, all right, we have Halo, we have Gears. These are our like on Game Pass. Like here's all our original content. Like it's like I don't know. There's so many apples in PS5's basket versus Xbox, and I might get crap where I'm just saying like in terms of stories or games that they can have for the other consumers. Like if I'm trying to pitch to an Xbox fan and I'm Sony right now, I'm like, hey, look at all our original narratives, look at all the stuff that we have to come for the future. If I'm Xbox, I'm like, hey, PS5, I have Halo Infinite that's dropping not even with the console, it's dropping next year, but still original IP. So, come on. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
And the thing is, and I'll explain, like, the reason why I've been such like a Xbox fan and Team Xbox for so long is one, I love Halo, and then two, a lot of the other stuff I think is superior to the PlayStation, which is the interface. I think the interface for the Xbox dashboard is it's cleaner and easier to use than Sony's, and then also their online gaming I think is much easier to use than the PlayStations, like their
Hmm.
whole setup with the Xbox Live. The multimedia features I think are just the way everything's set up in terms of, but these are all the online connectivity is linked to that. But what I mean is they're not like actual games. They're just like
Hmm.
these other things that make the Xbox multimedia experience with my television much more enjoyable. And I still think they are better in those regards, but now they need to come with the games and whatnot. And
And
I think the Xbox Series S is a good move for them. It's just now you got to follow that up.
And I'm probably most like I said, if I had the option, like money wise, like if I'm looking at it from a perspective of I'm the average consumer, let's say I have the money for it, I'm getting a PS5 hard version. And if I had to pick between the Xboxes, I would get an Xbox Series X or Series S, the discless one for $299, just because I do love Game Pass. And I think that's a phenomenal deal. And that being said, like now I'm really even more excited to see what the future of Sony and PlayStation has, especially with this PlayStation Plus membership, because as we can see, like slowly but surely, they're going to start putting more of their PlayStation games on the PC. So it's going to be like, what does that mean for PC gaming in the future as well? Because PC has always been dominated by Microsoft for the most part in terms of these games. So now it's like you have not Ghost of Tsushima, you have Death Stranding, you have Horizon Zero Dawn on play or PC now. It's only going to be a matter of time before they start putting more and more of their original games onto PC. So
Yeah. Yeah, and some people, said that, the PS4 exclusives, they're coming to PC anyways. It's like, yeah, but when you come out a year later, 2 years later, that's not the same thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, you have a bunch of different games that come out later for the PC. They're just trying to, that's if you're buying, let's say, Horizon Zero Dawn on your PC, you either don't have a PlayStation and weren't interested in it, uh, or you are such a super fan that you want to play it on the best possible one anyways. You weren't swayed anyways to buy to go out and buy a console just for that game. You know what I mean? So they're not losing any money by putting it on the PC a year, 2, 3 years later. You know what I mean?
hmm
Just like even like the Red Dead stuff. The Red Dead 2 came out, what was like a year, maybe less than a year. Trying to think of how long the distance was between when they launched it on consoles versus PC. But anyways, they just, they're giving it to people who aren't going to buy consoles anyways, or just such diehard fans they want to play on another system.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like who. I'm just thinking back to like who would buy the digital version of a PS5 when it's literally $100 more. What
I
would
mean,
they need to come up? They need to make sure, or hopefully they'll have more information about like what the differences are, because I really don't see the point.
I think it's the same. It's the exact same hardware, and that's why it costs more than
Mm.
Xbox Series S. Is the exact same hardware, just minus the disk drive, and that's it.
Maybe for
So,
convenience, maybe if you just want more, if you plan on
well,
porting
if
this around,
you just want to save $100 and you have no plans on either using as a Blu-ray player, using as the 4K Blu-ray player, or you don't want to take some of your old games that you own on physical media, because that's my biggest thing with, because Xbox Series S is a really good deal, but I'm still like thinking I still own like a lot of disc games. Like,
hmm.
how do I get this disc game onto that system? I wish they kind of had this upgrade system where you like send them the disc and they can just like give you the credit for a digital
Yeah.
version, and then maybe I can go all digital. But until they do that, I'm a little wary of buying a digital only console.
Hmm.
But anyways, just let's wrap this thing up because we got our Oculus Quest video to do as well. What do you think of the overall showcase? What games are you most excited for? And what do you think overall?
Overall, I'm pretty excited. I thought the showcase was great. Like you said, short and simple, didn't keep us too long. I thought perfect time. Oh, I'm definitely probably going to get a PS5, the hard version. What is it called? Or just PlayStation 5 regular version.
Yeah.
The one with the disc. Looking forward to Miles Morales, of course. And you know the interesting thing about it is I've played a little bit of the remake of Final Fantasy VII, but I had no idea that it was a Final Fantasy game before like they dropped the title or whatever. So in my notes I was like, this looks pretty interesting. Like this looks like I'm down to play this. And then I saw Final Fantasy. It was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I'll definitely look forward to that one. And of course, Deathloop. I'm definitely excited for that. But overall, I'm just excited to see what's in store for the PlayStation 5, and then also what's in store for the future of gaming. You know, we're rooting for all of these consoles. We're not hoping one goes bad or one like suffers or anything. Like when it's a rising ship, we want PS5 and we want Xbox both to do good.
Now, on a side note, what the hell is Google Stadia gonna do? Because like, okay, you have Xbox and they're really going hard on Game Pass, which I think is probably going to be very successful, at least in that market. And you have PlayStation with their exclusives on the PS5. Nintendo is a whole different market, right? It skews younger, it's portable, it's like they have their own exclusive games. Stadia is supposed to get these big games on their streaming system. So what is Google Stadia going to do? Like, who's using that service and what's the attraction to that service? Anyways, that's I think a conversation for another time. But overall, I like you. I thought I was much more impressed with this showcase than the first one. They did a lot more focused on what you're wanting to see. Plus, they did a little disappointing on the price on the digital version, but we kind of knew that because they didn't know Xbox was going to go that route. They didn't really prepare for it, so they just went, all right, you get the exact same experience minus the disk drive. At least it was $399 versus $449.
I would have called up something and been like, come on now. Like I would have had to fight somebody had that been the price for the digital version.
But yeah, that's it for us on the PS5. Let us know your thoughts. Post your comments below, and check out our videos, our podcast every single week. And we're going to have a whole bunch of other videos on this channel, youtube.com/ColliderGames.
Insomniac Games just confirmed that Miles Morales will be launching alongside the PS5. So it's a title launch.
It's got to be. I mean, how are you going to sell the system if you don't have the system seller? That's their system seller right there, and that's what Halo was supposed to be for Xbox. All right. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Dorian Parks and Rec. You can find me on Instagram at Dorian Parks, and you can find me right here on Collider Games.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. So until our next video, which maybe you're checking out our Oculus Quest video, Oculus Quest 2, or our podcast video, or we just put up a review for a spoiler review of Avengers with me and Caboose did that. We'll see you guys next time.